in your body, just type number one here in the chat. Again, type number one. And as you're joining, we are live on other platforms. Finally, again, on Instagram, of course, we've been here for a while, on Facebook, Zoom, YouTube, TikTok, you name it. So, and this topic today, as I was telling you, is very simple. But the GLP-1 is something everybody's talking about. And there's scientific, papers that people go through. People will sell you different things. Doctors will try to get you medication. But in reality, the GLP-1 is very simple to understand because it's something that our body already produces naturally. Now, it is released mainly from our gut when we eat protein, fiber, and healthy fats. Now, think of the GLP-1 as your body's metabolic intelligence signal. So now, those of you here on Zoom, have you ever tried to lose weight and you are, just doing a diet of this, doing a diet of the other thing, or taking the pill to lose weight and not be hungry? Just be honest. How many of you here on Instagram, Facebook, or any other platform, Zoom, how many of you have tried to lose weight and you get frustrated? Just type here in the chat, me or number two. I want to hear you. All right, let me see. Thank you for those of you who are on Facebook. Just type number one if you're live, number two if you're on a replay. Let me know from which country you're connecting. But, okay, let me read from one of our people here on Zoom, natural hormone in our body. Okay, so Maria has tried to lose weight. I have tried to lose weight before, and I have been frustrated most of the times because, first of all, when I try to be consistent, something happens, or, I'm out of my schedule, or I'm in a different time zone, or I'm in a different country, or I'm in a different place trying to travel and work, and things don't happen. However, and I love my coffee. I'll explain you more about coffee as well, and some of the things that are coming up with our company. We're excited to be working in a coffee product as well for the US and Mexico. And well, that's some other news we have. But we can establish that we can get frustrated. But what does the GLP have to do with losing weight? Well, I'm going to tell you one thing. If you're in the US or in Mexico, you can identify with me that there are many people, from different friends and different, places, like from people who are, diabetics, non-diabetics, from everybody. You and I can really know that we are bombarded with different things. At least here in the US, we get all of these notifications and all of these ads about new medications and stuff, which should be illegal, by the way. But when, let me see, I think that we're trying to make sure that we're live everywhere, and I am not quite sure we're live everywhere. Let me see, are we? Yes or no? Ready? Apparently we are not, but we are going to try to make sure that we are. Let me see. Alrighty. Yes, no, okay, nope. Okay, so they're telling us we are not live on Facebook. Okay, we're gonna just give it one more try, and we're gonna just check if we're live on Facebook. Anyway, so going forward, GLP-1 is something that we produce, controls hunger in our body, controls, how we feel, and it travels to our brain, and it tells your brain, this thing that is produced in our gut travels to the brain. It says, you know what, you've had enough food, stop eating. And it reduces appetite, increases satiety, and it helps with the portion control naturally. Now, what is the biggest? Thank you so much for those of you in Serbia. Etelka Yuko is saying, I'm trying to gain weight. Well, this is another thing, that you have it's the same thing. The same thing, the GLP-1, you still produce it, and it doesn't matter if if you're trying to lose or gain weight. It's something that our body produces naturally. Now, let me check here, checking that everybody is seeing us. Yes, we are live. Let me check. Are we? Yes, we are. Alrighty. So as you're coming on live, please let me know where you're connecting from. I know that I sound repetitive, but I want to make sure that everybody is here and acknowledge, and we're all having, the same information. But, the GLP-1 is something that, everybody produces. Whether you are trying to lose weight or gain weight, it doesn't matter. You still produce it. You still produce this hormone in your body. But today, this information is for those people who are trying to have good metabolic health, which is, something like that. Maybe you're very, very young and you're not thinking about it, but if you are a health enthusiast, you will know that this is important for you and me and for everybody. But for also those people who are trying to lose weight. Now, today we're talking about the GLP-1, which not only sends a signal, is something that our body produces already naturally, but there are medications that some people take, at least in the US and in Mexico, where doctors prescribe, different stuff for people to take, and then our bodies produce more of the GLP-1 hormone in our body, and therefore, people lose weight because they are not hungry, they feel completely, full, and things like that. Now, there is a way for us to increase the production of this GLP-1 in our bodies naturally. And our bodies, whether we like it or not, we do produce this hormone. That's what it is. And, today this topic is for those of us who are really interested into longevity, but more than that, into how to improve our bodies so they can function better. And by the way, to produce the GLP-1 more than if we're just not focused on doing those things naturally, of course. So what does it do? It just helps you not to be hungry, stabilizes your blood sugar, which results on those people who are diabetics to use the insulin in a smarter way, and increases, it makes insulin more stable in a way that is not spiking so much. And those of us who are not diabetics, it decreases the glucagon, which raises the blood sugar naturally in our bodies. Now, this is really something that all of us, whether you're trying to lose weight or not, you should really improve your life, because once you have an excess of sugar in your body, all kinds of things start just to really go bad. Because whenever our body is constantly on spikes of sugar specifically, we have crashes, jitters, we're craving things, we are moody, and things like that. So the GLP-1 will help us with this part, which is being stable mentally, because whenever our sugar is in a good state, we can actually do better. Whenever when it comes to our performance for at work, when we are studying, when we're doing anything. Now, number 3, it does slow digestion, which is a normal effect of the GLP-1. Now, those people who are taking these medications like Ozempic and all those medications, I have nothing against the medical field, but there are side effects. Now, there are people that need it, and I'm not saying in any way, type, shape, or form that I'm trying to give you medical advice or trying to tell you not to follow your doctor's direction at all. But I'm going to tell you one thing: whether you're taking a medication that is increasing the GLP-1, or you are trying to improve your GLP-1 production, which is what we're mainly talking about today, it's going to have a really good impact if you have an excess of weight, or if you're in the border of becoming diabetic, which is not what we want, right? Now, the GLP-1 delays how fast the food leaves our stomach. So the result is We feel full for longer, our energy is steady, and we have less snacking, which means, the first 3 weeks of taking either a medication or entering into another protocol, I mean by, food supplementation, good nutrition, which is a specific diet that we actually have designed for many people already as a trial before launching a really great product that is coming to NH Global. I'm not talking about adding another supplement, but we're launching a product that is going to be really, really good, especially for the US and Mexico market, where, these things are, on a style, but, not on a style, but on they're in, they're like everybody's talking about it. But I'm going to tell you one thing: before you take any medication, before you take any food supplement, or before you modify your diet, you should always consult with your doctor. Always, always. Even if you're watching this information and you're trying to base your opinions based on these, you should always go to your physician. Now, number 4, it supports fat loss. The GLP-1, whenever you are either with diet and a protocol of supplementation, or whenever you are under a medication, an actual RX, your fat loss is supported, which means that it reduces, you can reduce the calorie intake naturally, you improve the insulin sensitivity, and you help your body use fat more efficiently. Yes, it doesn't mean that you're going to just lose weight all of the sudden. In some cases, it is like that, depending on the medication that you're prescribed. But whenever you're taking food supplements and do it naturally, it takes around 3 weeks for your body to kick in, completely, and, go full force and lose the weight. Now, number 5, the GOP also affects and rewards, and, the affects the reward and craving, connection, which is like the dopamine link in your brain. And how is this? You have less sugar cravings, you have less emotional eating. I don't know about you, but type it here in the chat, either on Zoom, Instagram, or Facebook. If you if you're struggling with your eating habits, I'm gonna tell you one thing. My eating habits were struggling really bad because I was snacking at night because I got anxious. But I didn't even know I was anxious. I was like, I just need to have something, and then I'll go and get like a cookie or something that's healthy but still high caloric, like, a date, or I will get, a whole bunch of fruits, but still it has a lot of carbs and sugars. And I was snacking at the end of the day. And if that's you, just type it here in the chat. That's me. I usually snack when I'm not supposed to. And it helps with these cravings and those patterns. Yes. And Renata saying, yes, that's me. That's me, And uh, why will the GLP drugs work? I'm gonna give you my opinion. I am not against the medical field at all. I have a lot of physicians, which are friends of mine, a lot of doctors. There are doctors in my family, so I think that they bring something good to the table. However, why? I'm gonna explain you why the GLP-1 drugs work, and I'm gonna give you the main goal of today. Let me go. So the GLP-1 medications, like the one that starts with an O and ends with a with PIC, I'm not going to be promoting any medications here at all, but you know what I mean. Why do they work? Because they stay longer in your body, because natural GLP-1 lasts for a few minutes, not, for hours or days. And they also strongly suppress the appetite, and they improve, the blood sugar. However, do they have side effects? Yes, like any medication has side effects. Now, do they fix the main cause of your bad eating habits? They do not. Do they shut down, the this anxiety? Do they fix, naturally what you need to work on? No, they do not. I mean, I'm not against any of you taking these medications, because you are the owner of your own body. Do they work? If you need it, of course, you need to always make your own decisions. But going back to my explanation, and to close it up on how we can actually promote something in our body that is long lasting. How many of you want to lose weight? Ladies, if you don't want to lose weight, this is not for you. This is for somebody else. If you want to lose weight, just type here in the chat, me, I want to lose weight. Just, do you want to lose weight just for the sake of losing weight for temporarily, or you really want a sustainable long-term weight loss without, and I'm gonna tell you what without, because I was very chunky when I was younger, when I had my babies, and I was pretty big. I was size 12, which in the US is a bigger size. I was not super big, but I was size 12. Right now I'm size 4, size 2, 4, which you can know that is like a huge difference. Did I know what I was doing when I was losing the weight? And probably not. But now that I'm doing different things with people, friends, we're doing certain trials, getting protocols for individuals in trials before we're launching our product in NH Global. But I'm giving you this talk out of my heart on how to improve your GLP levels without breaking your bank account, without having side effects. I'm not asking you to take this as medical advice, because it is not. I'm just a health and wellness coach and enthusiast. But we can do things in a way that is sustainable, that you are not going to be changing your habits, because to do something that has a long lasting effect, that has a long lasting thing in your life, you need to work with your own habits, first of all, and you need to work for you and not against you. Now, thank you for those of you on Zoom. So you want, yes, Maria, everybody else, Johnny, thank you so much. For those of you being here live, either on Facebook, Instagram, thank you so much, my friends. So if that's you, that I'm very happy. Now, I'm going to give you a couple of pieces of advice. And here it goes. And no, I'm not a doctor. No, I don't hold a doctor's degree. I am a health and wellness enthusiast, a coach. I'm a formulator. We do develop different things and protocols. I love longevity and health and wellness. So here we go. I'm going to tell you one thing. For years, I saw how people were doing everything right, including myself, dieting, working out, trying harder, and still feeling stuck. I was at some place, as I was telling you earlier on this talk, where I wanted to eat clean, to train, to stay disciplined, to do every single thing, and still felt like my body was fighting against me. If that's you, just type it in the chat. I'm telling you, like, once you are over 25 years old, those of you who are younger, hey, after you're 25, you hit your 30s, forget about it. Your body is going to start slowing down the metabolism. If that's you, hey, brother, sister, I'm right there with you. So I started asking myself, why do some people eat normally and they stay completely lean, while others, just like me, I feel hungry all the time, or not even hungry? Sometimes I don't even eat anything. I was thinking to myself, I don't even eat much, but even when I look at people taking bread or having a burger, I gain weight just to look at them, just as a funny, it's a joke, but that's how I felt. And maybe that's you. So it is discipline. I was thinking, is it discipline, or is it something else? Or are they taking a medication? Are they taking a certain pill, a certain, thing to boost their metabolism? I was clueless. When I was younger, I was very chunky, and I did decide to improve my weight. Eventually, it took me some time, but I did actually got to where I wanted to be. Now, I am going to tell you, what if I told you that your problem is not your lack of discipline? I discovered that all of these things have nothing to do, you improving your health, improving your weight, losing weight specifically, has nothing to do with the lack of discipline. It has to do with a missing key signal in your brain, and that is called the GLP-1. And you can take all of the food supplements and all of the fat burning things that you could ever take. And I did those things before. And I'm going to tell you one thing, even with natural things that they promise you that you're going to burn fat and you're going to do this, you're going to do the other, you're still going to have some damage to your body, because most of those things that are natural, that promote the fat, burning the fat, and just slowing the appetite or giving you more energy, all of those things that we buy, it might work, but I want to tell you how it's going to work. It's going to affect how your liver, your brain, and all of your hormones will work together, because you actually are stressing your body when you're taking things that naturally suppress your appetite, which have nothing wrong with. There's nothing wrong with that, or taking your medications or whatever. But in reality, what we need is something that is actually natural, and you need to work with your own signaling in your brain, which is, instead of working against yourself, instead of stressing out your body, and or instead of trying to change your schedule, your eating habits, you need to work with what you have for it to be sustainable. Now, that signal is called the GLP-1. We all produce it, which I explained just a few minutes ago, and I'm going to wrap it up with this. When this hormone literally controls our way of feeling full, how our body burns fat, how we have less cravings and our energy, I think we need to pay attention more than taking or putting a band-aid, in an injury without addressing the problem. Because if you have a problem with hormones, if you have a problem emotionally, you're not going to solve it with an Ozempic. You're not going to solve it with a medication. You need to stay focused. Like, if you want to do it long term and sustainable, you're going to get off, I don't know, you're going to lose like 10 pounds or 10 kilos, and you want them off for good. You need to do it smartly. You need to do it in a way that you are not working against yourself. Now, here's where things get, interesting. Think of the GLP-1 like your body stop eating button. Like, your body, have you ever felt full when you go to a restaurant and you feel like, I'm full, I can't eat anymore? Just type here in the chat if you've ever felt that way. That is, that's the natural way to lose weight, Yes? Okay, how have you ever felt that way? Yes, me too. Now, going to the things, what happens when this stop eating button actually is broken? In today's world, it is broken, especially in the US and in Mexico and in this area of the Americas. I mean, in Europe, I'm going to tell you very honestly, they have a lot of amazing foods, but there are things like the high corn syrup in our country, in the US, where your stop eating button is completely erased. Like, it's taken off the picture completely. Why? I'm not gonna get political, but I know, as a formulator here in the US, they tell you, if you don't put sugar on it, if you don't put high corn syrup into your formulations or your supplements or whatever, if you are not sugary, you're not gonna sell. And that is unfortunately our market here in the US. This stop eating button has been erased from our life in many places. When you start eating junk food, you are literally, yes, you're saving a couple of dollars or euros, but you are setting yourself up for failure when it comes down to your health. Because you eat, but you don't get satisfied. You snack, but you don't feel like if you have had enough. You try diets, but your body is resisting. It's like driving a car with no brakes. It makes no sense. But the problem, the problem is this. Most people today, most of everybody, including myself, I was, like wondering, why do I feel this way? Why, am I not, losing weight and things like that? Most people, you know, we do have low GLP-1 response. Yes. And we have constant hunger signals, constant blood sugar spikes. Maybe you don't even know that this is happening in your body because you don't even feel anything, or cravings that we cannot control, or we have social eating. That's another problem. But what do we do? Let's be real. We do more dieting, we do more restriction, we get frustrated, we stress our body with, we take this pill, now this, not this pre-workout, now I'm gonna take this monster, and I'm gonna take this other thing. We try to solve the things without really addressing what the problem is in the first place, which is, understanding how we work. And then we blame ourselves. It's like a never-ending cycle. And then we end up thinking, hey, you know what? I just can't lose weight, or I can't go to I can't be on my best, self, physically, emotionally, because I've tried everything and nothing works. But you know what? Your biology is working against you. Yes. And you need to realize that we need to really address this, because whatever we're eating, whatever we're doing, health wise, we're working against ourselves. Now, what's the solution? Here's what everything changed for me when I understood this. And instead of forcing my body, and I'm going to tell you really honestly, I was, I'm still, probably 5 to 10 kilos overweight. Yes, you might be thinking, Danny looks good, whatever. But I'm going to tell you one thing. I have lost, since, when I was younger, I've lost from 10 to 20 kilos, in not a small period of time, but, sustainable, in some years. And lately, I came out of a hormonal, therapy that I was on, which I could not lose weight because of this specific reason. Plus, everything else I explained you. But I was I was forcing my body to lose weight, and I couldn't do it. So I started, doing some research and, doing all these things, because I was offered these medication, the GLP-1 medications. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. And I'm going to tell you why. It's not that it doesn't work, but because of all the side effects. Plus, I'm a believer in natural stuff. So instead of forcing my body, I started learning how to work with my body. I started learning how I eat when I wake up, at what time do I normally have breakfast? Do I work out? Yes. At this time I do these workouts. And do I try to force myself? And I realized that, I started measuring my levels of cortisol, which is the hormone responsible of stress, and also to wake you up. Whenever you wake up in the morning, you wake up because cortisol wakes you up, nothing else. So there's nothing wrong with it, but as long as you have a balance in your life of this hormone. Now, when you're trying to lose weight and you're trying to restrain your diet, you're stressing yourself. I discovered one thing very powerful. You can naturally activate your GLP-1 without injections, without extremes, without destroying your metabolism, without stressing yourself, without punishing yourself to not eat like what you're supposed to eat. Now, when you do apply these principles that we do have, that we have been testing with different individuals around, when we because we have a very beautiful product we're about to launch, you will feel full faster. You don't need to have this medication. If you decide to take it, go ahead and do it. You can still benefit from the protocol we have. You can stop craving sugars. You eat less without trying. Your body finally starts releasing the fat, but it's not immediately. It takes you from 2, 3, or 4 weeks for your body to stabilize, for your body to actually learn how to listen to itself. You learn how to do your proper portion control. You learn what is that you eat, what is that you like, when do you eat, when at what time do you work out, and you work in your own ecosystem. You don't work against yourself. And what eventually what we want to do is to bring down the cortisol levels to the bottom of the normality of what the cortisol level should be in your body, so you can actually lose the weight or come to your better self in your health. Now, I want to tell you one thing. Whether you are looking into getting to lose weight or you want to know more about these things, we're going to be having next week, at the same time, we're going to be explaining exactly what you can do. We have, we're developing different protocols, but today I'm going to tell you one thing. You don't need more discipline. You need alignment with your own body. Once your body is aligned, your fat loss becomes natural and your energy becomes stable, and your food stops controlling you. And you stop, this never ending cycle of I've tried this, I've tried that, I've tried the other thing, and nothing works. But I want to leave you with this. Part of our protocol, for those of you who are listening in the NH Global channels, either it's on Zoom or any other place, we do have 4 amazing products. Number one, we have one product, how the GLP works and all these things, I'm going to go in depth next week. But with these 4 products that you probably already take, you can help your body with distress yourself with Refine. Refine is a combination of ginkgo and ginseng, and they're amazing drops. I have them right here. I take them every single day. That helps you with that part of stress, in your body. And hence are other drops that helps you a lot, amazingly, with vitamin D3, vitamin K2, which are essential and crucial for your body to start producing the GLP naturally. Now, it has a combination of the resveratrol, of black cumin seed oil. It also has grape seed oil, which is really great for regeneration, which is another set of things that you can consider. Now, and then there's 2, which are, the other ones that are my favorite. The vitamin C liposomal one, the one that we have on powder, can help you as a pre-workout, can help you as building this energy whenever you're trying to produce this natural GLP in your body. And the other part, is the UGlow, which is our natural collagen, which has natural prebiotics. And this is what actually promotes the GLP-1 in your body. So you don't have to take all of them. If you do have them, this is like your support system on the protocol. We're developing an extra part of a product here for the United States, maybe sometime in the future for Europe. But if you have not tried these things, go ahead and give them a try. But you will benefit more than that on learn what actually is that is going to improve, this part of your body, which is producing more GLP-1. How? I'm going to be shooting, a message to those of you who message me. I'm ready on the chat, or me here on the chat, and we can have a talk, because we're having, a small group of people that we're doing testing, right now, before we launch our product very, very soon in April. So if you want to be a part of this control group where we're doing, this completely free testing, shoot me a message, because maybe, that might work for you. And so, well, thank you so much for being here. Those of you who are on Instagram, we'll see you very soon. Those of you who are on Zoom or any